Last August, our neighbor from down the road came by the farm on a Saturday evening. His name is not important, but what he said is, he had been at his own house, trying to eat supper on the back porch with his family. By 7:30, the mosquitoes had driven everyone inside. His wife had a spray can in each hand. The children had red welts on their arms. He gave up, loaded the family in the truck, and drove over to our place because his wife said she wanted to sit outside somewhere and finish her meal in peace. They pulled chairs up to our yard. The sun went down. 8 o'clock came, then 9, then 9:30. His wife looked at him and said, "We have been sitting here for 2 hours, and I have not been bitten once." His youngest daughter was playing barefoot in the grass. No bites. His wife asked me what was different about our yard. I told her. But before I tell you what I told her, I need to explain something about how a mosquito finds you, because once you understand that, you will understand why every spray you have ever put on your skin was solving the wrong problem. And I need to tell you about my grandmother, who grew garlic around her house 60 years ago for a reason that had nothing to do with cooking. I will get to her. In the next 29 minutes, I want to show you 3 things. First, why garlic works against mosquitoes in a way that no skin spray can match, and it has to do with the same compound that makes your eyes water when you chop a clove. Second, why the companies that sell bug spray have never told you about this, even though the knowledge has been passed down in communities like ours for generations. And third, how to mix it, where to spray it, and how often, including the 4 mistakes that will either waste the garlic, attract mosquitoes instead of repelling them, or make your whole property smell like a restaurant kitchen for 3 days. That last one is a story from our own farm that my wife has not let me forget. I will get to that too. A mosquito does not find you by sight. It finds you by smell. Specifically, it follows the carbon dioxide in your breath and the heat coming off your body. Those 2 signals travel through the air like a trail of breadcrumbs leading directly to you. The mosquito's nose, if you can call it that, is thousands of times more sensitive to airborne chemicals than yours. It can detect your breath from over 100 feet away. That is how it finds you in the dark. That is how it finds you when you are sitting still. It is following a chemical signal that you produce every time you exhale. Now think about what the sprays from the store actually do. You spray a chemical on your skin. That chemical confuses the mosquito for a short time when it gets close to you. Maybe 2 hours? Maybe less if you are sweating. But the mosquito is still in your yard. It is still flying through the air searching for the signal. It finds your child who forgot to spray. It finds your ankle where the spray rubbed off on the chair. It finds the back of your neck where you missed a spot. The spray protects the skin it touches for as long as it lasts. It does not protect the yard. It does not protect the porch. It does not protect the person sitting next to you who did not spray. Have you ever been at a gathering where half the people sprayed and half did not? The ones who did not got eaten alive. The ones who did still found bites on the spots they missed. That is the flaw in the whole idea. You are trying to hide each person one at a time instead of hiding the whole area at once. And every 2 hours, the hiding wears off and you start over. There is something else about those sprays that nobody mentions. The chemical they use was developed for soldiers. Military men in the jungle who had no control over the land around them. A soldier cannot spray garlic on the jungle floor. He can only protect his own body. So the military made a chemical for that. And then the companies took that same chemical, put it in a can with a nicer label, and sold it to families for the backyard. A backyard is not a jungle. You own your backyard. You control every square foot of it. You can treat the ground instead of the body. But nobody told you that because the chemical that goes on your skin gets used up faster and needs to be replaced every few weeks. The chemical that goes on the ground lasts 2 weeks per application. One makes more money, the other makes more sense. Our people figured out a long time ago that the better approach is to make the whole yard invisible, not the person. The yard. If the mosquito cannot find anyone in the yard, nobody gets bitten. Not the adults, not the children, not the guests. Everyone is protected because the space is protected. And the thing that protects the space is garlic. In the next 29 minutes, I want to show you 3 things. First, why garlic works against mosquitoes in a way that no skin spray can match, and it has to do with the same compound that makes your eyes water when you chop a clove. Second, why the companies that sell bug spray have never told you about this, even though the science has been understood for longer than any of us have been alive. And third, how to mix it, where to spray it, and how often, including the 4 mistakes that will either waste the garlic, attract mosquitoes instead of repelling them, or make your whole property smell like a restaurant kitchen for 3 days. That last one is a story from our own farm that my wife has not forgiven me for. I will get to that. When you crush a clove of garlic, you break open the cells. Inside those cells, 2 compounds that are normally kept separate come together and react. They form a new compound called allicin. Allicin is what gives crushed garlic that sharp, pungent smell that stings your nose and makes your eyes water. It is a sulfur compound, sharp to your nose, overwhelming to a mosquito. When you dissolve garlic in water and spray that solution on grass, on fence posts, on bushes, on the ground around your porch, the allicin settles onto those surfaces and slowly releases sulfur compounds into the air near the ground. A mosquito flying into your yard hits that cloud of sulfur. Its senses are flooded. The carbon dioxide from your breath, which is the signal it is following, disappears into the noise. The mosquito cannot distinguish your breath from the garlic. It is like trying to hear someone whisper in a room full of people shouting. The mosquito is not killed. It is blinded. It cannot find you. It cannot find anyone in the treated area. It flies on and searches somewhere else. And here is the part that always surprises people. At the concentration that overwhelms a mosquito, your nose cannot detect the garlic at all. You spray it on the lawn in the late afternoon. Within 30 minutes, the sharp garlic smell fades to nothing that a human nose can pick up. But the mosquito's senses are thousands of times more sensitive than yours. What is invisible to you is deafening to the mosquito. You sit on your porch, smelling nothing unusual. The mosquitoes enter your yard and cannot function. My grandmother knew this before anyone in the family could explain why it worked. She grew garlic around the kitchen garden, around the front porch, and along the path from the house to the barn. She did not grow it only for cooking. She grew it because the area around the garlic plants had fewer biting insects than the area away from them. She told me when I was young that garlic confuses the bugs. They cannot find you when the garlic is in the air. She did not know the word allicin. She did not know about sulfur compounds or olfactory receptors. She knew what she observed over a lifetime of living close to the land. And she was exactly right. Our family started using the concentrated spray about 15 years ago when someone in the community discovered that you could buy garlic juice in bulk from a farm supply company, dilute it in water, and spray it across a much larger area than a garlic garden could cover. The effect was the same, but the coverage was the whole yard instead of just the border near the plants. Since then, most families in our area spray their yards every 2 weeks, from May through September. The cost is about $1 per spraying. We gather outside in the evenings all summer, singing, visiting, the children playing in the grass barefoot. Nobody sprays anything on their skin. Nobody lights a candle. Nobody goes inside early. The English neighbors see us sitting outside at 9 o'clock on a July evening and wonder how we do it. They see our children running around with bare arms and legs and no welts. They think we have some kind of immunity. We do not. We have garlic on the lawn. That is all. Do you know what it feels like to sit on your own porch on a summer evening without slapping your arms and legs every 30 seconds? Without that buzzing sound near your ear that makes you flinch? Without watching the children scratch themselves raw? It feels like summer is supposed to feel. It feels normal, and it is strange to me that for most families, a peaceful evening outside in their own yard is something they have given up on. Here is how to do it at your home. Step 1. Buy garlic barrier concentrate. It is sold at garden supply stores and through the mail under names like garlic barrier or mosquito barrier. A quart bottle costs about $8 to $12 and makes enough spray for a quarter-acre yard, roughly 10 to 12 applications. That works out to about $1 per spraying. You can also make your own by crushing a full head of garlic, soaking it overnight in a quart of water, straining out the pieces, and adding a small squirt of dish soap so the liquid sticks to the leaves instead of running off. Step 2. Pour the diluted solution into a garden pump sprayer, the kind you use for watering or weeding. If you do not have one, they cost about $10 and you will use it for years. Step 3. Spray the perimeter of your yard first. The fence line, the hedge, the property edge. Then spray the ground cover, the lawn, the garden beds, the low bushes. Spray under the porch railing, around the legs of outdoor furniture, and especially any shaded areas where mosquitoes rest during the heat of the day. You are coating surfaces, not spraying the air. The allicin needs to sit on the grass and the leaves where it releases slowly over days. This is the important difference. The spray goes on the ground and the plants. Not on you, not on your skin, not on your clothes. On the ground. Step 4. Reapply every 2 weeks. In a dry spell, the garlic holds well for the full 14 days. After a heavy rain, the water washes some of it off the leaves, and you may need to spray again sooner. Check by sitting outside in the evening. If the mosquitoes are back, it is time to spray again. Now, I need to tell you about my mistake, because it is the one that every family in the community has heard about, and I might as well tell you too. The first time I mixed the garlic concentrate, I did not follow the dilution on the bottle. I figured if a little garlic keeps the mosquitoes away, a lot of garlic will keep them away longer. I mixed the solution at about 3 times the recommended strength and sprayed the entire yard, the barn perimeter, and the fence line closest to the house. The mosquitoes were gone. So was everything else. The yard smelled like we were roasting garlic for 100 people. My wife came outside, stopped on the porch step, and said, "Amos, what did you do?" The smell lasted 3 days. The first evening, 2 neighbors drove past and slowed down because they could smell it from the road. My wife did not speak to me about the yard for a week. On the fourth day, when the smell finally faded to the point where you could sit outside without your eyes watering, she said, "The mosquitoes are gone. But so is my patience." Follow the dilution on the bottle. More is not better. More is garlic bread for the entire township. Step 5. Eliminate standing water on your property. This is not optional. The garlic repels adult mosquitoes that fly into your yard from outside. It does not kill the larvae that hatch in standing water on your own property. A bird bath, a clogged gutter, a bucket behind the shed, a saucer under a flower pot, even a jar lid holding a tablespoon of rainwater. A female mosquito needs only 2 days of still water to lay her eggs. If you are breeding mosquitoes in your own yard, the garlic barrier is fighting a population that never has to cross your property line. Walk the property once a week and dump anything holding water. Our people have done this as long as we have farmed. Standing water near the barn means sick animals. Standing water near the house means sick children. We dump it. You should too. Step 6. If you have a pond or a water feature you cannot drain, ask your county for mosquito fish. Most places give them away for free. They are small fish, about 2 inches long, that eat mosquito larvae from the surface. A few fish in a pond will keep it clear all season. If you are thinking about trying this before your next evening outside, I would be glad to have you stay with us. I have something to share next week about keeping your house warm in winter for almost nothing, and I think you will want to hear it. Now, I want to tell you why the bug spray companies have never mentioned this. And I want to be fair about it because I do not believe most of those companies are evil. I believe they sell what people will buy. And people will buy a spray can because a spray can is easy. You pick it up, you press the button, you put it down. The garlic method requires mixing, pouring into a sprayer, walking the yard, and repeating every 2 weeks. It takes about 30 minutes. The spray can take 30 seconds. People choose the 30 seconds even when the 30 minutes works better and costs less. But here is where I think the companies are not being honest. They know that their sprays protect the person for a few hours. They know that area treatments exist. They know that garlic barriers have been used by groundskeepers, farmers, people who hold outdoor gatherings, and communities like ours for a long time. They choose not to tell you about the alternative because a product you spray on your skin gets used up every time you go outside. A bottle of garlic concentrate that costs $1 and lasts 2 weeks does not generate the same kind of money. The companies are not hiding the garlic, they are just not mentioning it. And when something goes unmentioned long enough, people forget it exists. I want to tell you more about my grandmother because her story is the reason the garlic works on our farm today. She came to our family as a young bride in the 1940s. The farm she married into had a mosquito problem near the barn because of a low area that collected water after rain. The men wanted to drain it. She told them to plant garlic around it first and see what happened. They thought she was being foolish. She planted 3 rows of garlic around the low spot that spring. By midsummer, the mosquitoes near the barn had dropped to almost nothing. The men drained the low spot the following year because standing water is standing water, and it needed to go. But the garlic stayed. She expanded it every year. Around the kitchen garden, along the path to the hen house, along the front of the porch. By the time I was a boy, there was garlic growing in a border around 3 sides of the property. I did not think about it. It was just there the way the fence was there and the trees were there. It was part of the farm. Only when I got older and visited English homes and got bitten every time did I realize that our yard was different. And the difference was the garlic my grandmother had planted 30 years earlier. She told me once that her mother had done the same thing on the farm where she grew up, and her mother's mother before that. She could not say exactly how far back it went. She said it was just something the women knew. The men managed the fields, the women managed the house and the yard, and managing the yard meant managing the bugs. Garlic was one of the tools, not the only one, but the most reliable one. Our people never forgot because we never stopped using it. Nobody wrote it in a book. Nobody sold it in a store. It was just part of how you manage a homestead when you do not have the option of buying your way out of every problem. That neighbor who came by in August, he told me a few weeks later that his wife had not used a can of bug spray since they set up the garlic in their yard. He said she threw the cans away. He said their youngest daughter, who used to refuse to go outside after dinner because of the biting, now plays in the yard until dark. He said his wife told him that was worth more than any amount of money. I agree with her. A child playing barefoot in the grass on a summer evening without being hurt is how summer is supposed to be. The fact that it costs $1 and a spray bottle to make that possible is something that should make you wonder why nobody told you sooner. Now, I need to be honest about the limits. The garlic barrier works best when there is some AIR movement to carry the sulfur compounds across the yard. On completely still evenings with no breeze at all, the garlic sits close to the ground, and the protection above waist level is reduced. Those evenings are uncommon here, but they happen. In areas with very high humidity, the garlic still works, but the mosquitoes are more aggressive, and the population is larger. You may need to spray at a slightly higher concentration, though never more than the recommended amount on the bottle. If you live in a swampy area, the garlic will reduce the biting significantly, but may not eliminate it entirely on the worst nights. And the garlic does not protect you when you leave your yard. If you are walking in the woods, visiting a lake, or going somewhere that is not your property, the garlic barrier is not with you. For those situations, the skin sprays from the store are the right choice. I am not saying those sprays are worthless. I am saying they solve the wrong problem for the place where you spend most of your summer evenings, which is your own yard. Here are 4 mistakes that will ruin this for you. Mistake number 1, using too much concentrate. I told you my story. Follow the dilution. Your yard should smell faintly of garlic for about 30 minutes after spraying, and then nothing. If it smells like garlic an hour later, you used too much. Mistake number 2, spraying in the middle of the day when the sun is hottest. The heat causes the allicin to evaporate too fast. It burns off in hours instead of releasing slowly over days. Spray in the late afternoon or early evening when the air is cooling and the surfaces are not baking in the sun. Mistake number 3, spraying the air instead of the surfaces. The garlic needs to land on the grass, the leaves, the wood, the stone. It does not help floating in the air. Think of it like painting a fence. You want it on the surface, not drifting away in the wind. Mistake number 4, and this is the one I want you to think about. Believing that the only way to deal with mosquitoes is to put a chemical on your body every time you walk outside. That idea was sold to you. It was not always the way things were done. Before the sprays existed, people managed mosquitoes the way they managed every other part of the land. They controlled the water where the larvae bred. They planted things that the insects did not like. They built porches with screens and sat where the breeze moved. They managed the property, not the person. Somewhere along the way, the responsibility shifted from the land to the body. And when it shifted, it became a product you buy instead of a practice you keep. A practice costs nothing once you know it. A product costs money every time you use it, and the people who sell the product have no reason to teach you the practice. Let me give you the simple numbers. The average family spends $200 to $400 per summer on mosquito control. Sprays, candles, zappers, sometimes a professional service at $90 per treatment. Over 10 years, $2,000 to $4,000. Over 30 years, $6,000 to $12,000. The garlic method costs about $10 to $20 per summer for a full season of bi-weekly applications. Over 30 years, $300 to $600. And nobody in the family puts a chemical on their skin to sit in their own yard. My grandmother planted garlic around the house 60 years ago. The garlic still grows there. Her great-grandchildren play in that yard every summer evening without a single bite. She did not know why it worked. She knew that it worked, and that was enough. Sometimes knowing why is less important than knowing what. The garlic is at any garden store. The water is in your tap. The sprayer is in your shed. And the mosquitoes are waiting for you to figure out what my grandmother figured out with a row of garlic and a lifetime of paying attention. If you want to hear what I am sharing next week, that is on your screen now. Stay with us.